Hey, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and today we're talking about the scoring process for the SAT, and we're also going to look at a sample score report. Let's get started. All right, so the SAT scoring situation can be confusing to people, especially if you are new to the test. So, a couple things I want you to understand right off the bat. When you receive your score from SAT, from College Board, it is a scale score. And what that means is they take your raw score, and a raw score is how many you got correct out of the total. Okay. So you will get a raw score for the reading and writing, and you get a raw score for the math. But then what College Board does is they convert it into a scale score. They take that number and put it into anywhere from 200 to 800 in each section. You have a possible of 200 to 800 scale score points in the reading and writing, and 200 to 800 scale score points in the math. So they basically take a number like 35 and turn it into a number somewhere between 2 and 800. Now, it is impossible to predict exactly, precisely what your raw score turns into because you're taking the digital SAT, which means it's adaptive, which means as you start to answer questions correctly in module one, in your second module, those questions become more complicated and those are weighted, meaning they are worth more. When you start answering more complex questions correctly, you're going to get a bump in your scale score. So it's not a perfect raw to scale score conversion. And of course, SAT has their own scoring practices that are pretty secret. And so we can't completely predict your perfect scale score from the raw score. So I just want to make that clear. So as you're doing practice tests, you will get a raw score, and then you can use the chart. I have one in my online course. There are those in the back of practice test books where you can take your raw score and see what it would be on the scale score. Okay. Now, your total score is anywhere between 400 and 1600 points because remember, 200 is the lowest score you can get in the reading and writing, and 200 is the lowest score you can get on the math. So if you got the lowest score, 200 on the reading and writing and 200 on the math, then you would be at a 400. That is probably not going to happen. I'm just giving you an example. Now, the highest score you can get on the reading and writing is 800, and the highest score you can get on the math is 800. So the highest score, a perfect score on the SAT, is a 1600. A very competitive score is somewhere between 1400 and 1500. That's where you are, vying for those positions in the Ivy League schools. But an average score is around a 1050, and a 1200 is a great score too. So it just depends on where you want to go, what your goals are. These scores vary. And of course, you don't have to get a 1600. You don't have to get a 1400. It just depends on what you want to do. Let's have a look at a score report so I can show you how to walk through this when you get your scores after you take your digital SAT. So you will most likely take the test on the computer. It's the digital SAT, unless you have accommodations where you have to take a paper pencil, but most students take it on the computer. And you will log into your Blue Book account and it will give you your score report when it's ready. And it might look something like this. Now, this is a pretty good score, I think. I think an 1120 is a really good score. You would be in the 75th percentile. What does that mean? Well, when you are in the 75th percentile, that means you scored at or above 75% of all the students who took it. So you're up there. You're up in the, right in the mid to top quarter of the test takers. Okay. That's just helpful to kind of know where you are in terms of everybody who took the test, right? So this is an 1120. Let's say this is your first or second time taking it. Maybe you're trying to go for a better score, and that's okay. You can get the breakdown of what you did really well and where you are lacking, where you should be looking. Okay. So then you can see here on the reading and writing, you got a 620. Okay. And that is in the 60th percentile. And then in the math, you were at about a 500. So you need to work on your math. You were in the 70th percentile of everybody who took the math. Let's have a look at the reading and writing section. So you got a 620 on the reading and writing. It looks like you did the best on information and ideas. So that's going to be, the main idea, key details, charts and graphs, things like that, you did pretty good there. Craft and structure and expression of ideas, you did a little bit less. You got fewer questions correct there. And then standard English conventions, you did the worst on. Now, the good news about this is standard English conventions is really easy to fix. If you just do a little grammar fix up on some of these things, you can boost this very easily and get this 620 up, up, up. So it's very helpful to see the breakdown of the content domains and where you scored well and where you need to do more work. So definitely for this particular student, I would have a look at those standard English conventions and work on some grammar because those are easy things to fix. Now for the math, you can see that you did the best on algebra, and then advanced math, problem solving, data analysis, and geometry and trigonometry were all sort of equal. You didn't do so great on those questions, so you would want to go back and really fix up those areas. This is where the breakdown of the content domains is very helpful because you can zero in on what you were low in and go back and fix up those skills. That's why I love this score report, because it doesn't just give you a score, it tells you where you were weak. Also, on the SAT website, when you log in and you do this, there will be a little button here that says check out questions or do questions that are related to this domain. That is so helpful because when you click on it, it will take you to questions that are like the ones that you missed. So that is super helpful. And I love that about the SAT score report. Now, another thing they do is they give you a career insight snapshot, which is helpful. But remember, this test is not going to determine your entire career and your life. It's nice to know some of these things, but please understand, you're very young. Who knows where you're going to be? And that's okay. Like the SAT, I took the SAT, I got a terrible score. I went to Florida State University and now I own my own company. Okay. They never could have predicted that. So look over this, but take it with a grain of salt. This is not your destiny. It could be if you want it to be, but if you don't, it's okay. You'll be fine. Now, another thing you can do is look at your score compared to other people who took the test. That's okay. I mean, comparison isn't the best thing in the world, but some people like to look at it. So you can see your score is at 1120, but the average school score was a 1000. So you are above the average. Your district was at about a 1050. Your state was a little higher than you at 1190. And the country's average was a 1200. And then all the test takers average together was 1000. So you're right there. You're doing at or above most people who took the exam. And you could see you're in the 75th percentile. So that's great. But again, be careful with comparisons because they change every time the test is administered. And comparing oneself to somebody else or a group of other people can be a little bit annoying. So don't put too much stock in this. All right. And this is that part that I really like that you will see online when you look this up. You can see that this is a breakdown of your math. So you would click on your computer, either reading and writing or math. So let's have a look at the math. Your score was a 500. You could definitely improve here. And notice that it's got algebra and it says view skills and example questions in this score band. You click that and it'll take you to practice test questions. So when you log into your account, definitely take advantage of this because it'll show you the types of questions that this domain is. And that way you can look for those questions. You can even throw that into Chat GPT and say, hey, can you give me some practice test questions along this line? And that will really help you. And you can also do the practice test questions on the SAT website. All right, so that's the breakdown of the score report. The document that I did project is written by College Board. So you can download that on their website. You can just Google or Understanding Your Scores SAT, and you will see that it will pop up. I'll also put that link in the description below so you can grab that and have a look at it. Remember, you start off, your score may not be great, but you can keep taking this test to achieve the score you want. And remember, everyone's different. Some people want to go to Ivy League colleges. Other people want to go to just a 4-year university and just get through it, get their degree. Other people, may be using this as a concordance score to graduate high school. Everyone is different, and that is okay. So wherever you are is wonderful. And if you'd like to get better, that's okay too. You can do that with practice. Okay. So go easy on yourself. And remember, you're in charge. You can do this. I believe in you. Have a great day.